Alright, I'm back with X6. So far you guys have seen 3 stages, which are pretty okay in my opinion. Even on Extreme mode with its high density of enemies, those stages were pretty serviceable. Next up, however, is Ground Scarabitch. This stage is a pretty good example of why people dislike X6. It's got a lot of design problems. But first of all, before I talk about that, I want to mention that the music in this stage is the only theme in the game that I actually dislike. Most of X6's soundtrack is very good, but this stage, it is just this awful blaring loop over and over throughout the entire level. And the gimmick of this stage are these ghostly totem poles. They send you to one of 8 randomly selected areas. Now these areas always have the same structure every time you play, but there are random variances to these areas as well. So I guess it's their attempt at a roguelike Mega Man game. This can result in some pretty annoying structures, like this right here, this overhang. I'm not sure if this is normal for this area of the stage, but I am pretty sure that you cannot make that jump as Unarmored X. I don't know why you would select Unarmored X. I know he's got a better charge shot, but he's got less defense and a bunch of other problems that the Falcon armor fixes. But still, seeing as in terms of game design, the player should in theory be able to complete the stage regardless of what character they've chosen or what power-ups they have available to them, a gap like that is honestly unacceptable, and the patch actually fixes a similar gap later on in the game, so I will point that out when I get to it. By the way, fighting these totem poles is very annoying. You have to actually fight them after completing the area you got sent to. I honestly don't know why. They're incredibly annoying to fight. Also, there are 4 totem poles in the stage, so it's not over quite yet. Have I mentioned, by the way, that the only enemies you're going to find in the entire stage are A, the nightmare enemies, and B, those random blocks and stones that spawn out of thin air? Also, I guess the totem stump you're supposed to destroy at the end of each area. By the way, I've been using charged special weapons, you might have noticed. This is the charged guard shell. It might look like it's completely useless because those bullets are in a fixed area on the screen, but you have to notice that they are always in a fixed position on the screen and not in the area. So, by moving the camera around, you can actually hit enemies that you probably wouldn't have been able to. And the bullets also go through walls, so that's nice. Also, did I mention that the armor capsule and the hidden Reploids are hidden in the randomly selected areas? So yeah, you have to actually play the stage multiple times if you want to collect all the items and stuff. Even the path to 0 in this stage is hidden in one of the randomly selected areas, so there's a lot of RNG in finding what you actually want to find. One thing you won't fail to find, though, is endless amounts of nightmares, because they are spammed all over the stage, especially in Extreme mode. And the totem poles, they're incredibly annoying to fight because Extreme mode makes them fire much faster. The fact that the middle segment of the totem pole comes out immediately on Extreme mode instead of after 2 of the stumps have been destroyed, that actually makes it a little easier because you don't have to deal with everything at once, but still. Anyways, just one more of these areas before we make it to the boss. And I'm going to use the charged guard shell again. I actually should have used the charged Yamar option in this area, I think. The Yamar option is one of the weapons that stands out in X's arsenal as being actually pretty good, because it creates a small barrier around you in the form of dragonflies that can actually spam a lot of bullets and pile on the damage. So what I used just now is the Falcon Armor's Giga attack. This is a function that is in every armor ever since Mega Man X2, and it basically clears the screen. However, the Falcon Armor's Giga attack is very inefficient, as you just saw. It failed to destroy the enemies on top of me, and so, even though the totem stump was destroyed, I have to repeat this area again. How nice. At least I have full health this time. There we go, that's much better. Something else to note about the nightmare enemies, by the way, is that normally they would only drop their souls one time. The way to get them to drop another soul is to play a stage that causes a nightmare effect in the stage, which will refresh all the nightmare enemies so they drop their souls again. The patch changed this so that every nightmare enemy always drops a soul, no matter what. So, Ground Scarabitch's stage can actually be pretty good for soul farming, since it spams that enemy over and over like there's no tomorrow. Anyways, we're up to the boss now. So, you remember how I said that X6 has really difficult stages and really pathetic bosses? Ground Scarabitch is probably the X series equivalent to Toadman from the classic series. If you don't know what that means, then just watch. So, all Ground Scarabitch ever does is push this stupid little ball from one side of the screen to the other. You jump over him, you shoot him once, he goes to the other side and keeps pushing. Sometimes he will stop and shoot at you like this. The purple rocks are indestructible. They're exclusive to Extreme mode, like that means anything. And of course, as the fight goes on, the rocks will get bigger and bigger, and sometimes he will throw the entire rock at you, especially on the higher level versions of the fight. But still, just, like, look at this. I'm not even putting in any effort into this, to be honest, and boom, he goes down, and I only took one hit, and that was because I didn't expect him to stop and shoot at me. What a glorious end to this stage. And you know what? That stage is not even the worst X6 has to offer. I still completed it relatively easily. There are worse stages in this game, and the patch doesn't exactly fix everything. So, I guess look forward to the later stages, right? The weapon we got from Ground Scarabitch is the Ground Dash. It just shoots a bunch of rocks at your enemies. It's really not that useful unless you exploit a glitch. Anyways, at this point I wasn't sure which stage I wanted to take on next. I hadn't really decided at this point in the playthrough whether I wanted to unlock Zero or anything quite yet. But now we've got some power-up parts, so I think I should equip those. And I guess I'll have time to explain how parts work later on. But for now, maybe I should go into this stage. How about it? Okay, let's not. Let's go to this stage instead. I wanted to put off this stage for a very long time, but I guess I've got no other options now. Alright, Infinity Magian. This stage, I think it wrecked a lot of players when they started playing X6 for the first time, even on normal mode. The stage is actually very short. Maybe shorter than Shield Sheldon, I'm not sure. But it's got something really big and really bad about it. Oh yes, this music, by the way, has been compared to the final countdown. I can kind of see the similarities in the intro, but the rest of the song, nah, I don't really see it. Anyways, throughout the stage, you are attacked by a giant robot that shoots eye lasers. Nice! I mean, this is straight up like the final battle from Yoshi's Island or something, with regards to how the background works. So yes, just fly through the stage, fly through all the enemies, and then you have to attack this weird cord that is apparently connected to the big guy. Now, it takes a long time to destroy unless you use something like the Z-Saber if you unlock Zero, or the Yamar option if you have it. One of those situations I feel where picking this stage first would be a really, really bad idea because you'd be very unprepared for what the stage is throwing at you. And speaking of which, now you have 3 little robots shooting lasers at you if the red laser touches you. Of course, those robots are destructible, so I managed to blow up 2 of them with the Yammer option. See why this weapon is so good? Especially when it's charged. And now all I have to do is destroy this other cable, and apparently just destroying 2 of these cables wrecks the entire robot completely. Oh yeah, this phase of the fight also would have lasers and stuff if I weren't able to just destroy it immediately. And right after you destroy that robot, you will see one of the teleporters that will take you to the secondary area where you can unlock Zero, but let's avoid that for now. All in all, a very short stage capped off with one of the meanest bosses I've ever seen in a Mega Man game. I am not kidding you. If you thought I was going to Buster Duel all of these guys on the first fight and then use their weaknesses in the refights, you are sorely mistaken. I'm going to use weapons in the first fight for this guy in particular, and some of the other ones too, but Infinity Magian is just crazy, especially on Extreme mode. Think for a moment, how could he have possibly gotten the name Infinity Magian? Well, the answer to that is, as soon as I shoot this guy, you'll find out. Or rather, I'm actually going to get killed because the charged guard shell can't even hit him from that position. So yeah, you actually don't want to use the guard shell, which is his weakness. Like, you're supposed to reflect his shots back at him, but there are only so many shots from him that can actually be reflected. Like, 2 attacks can be reflected, that's all. So I will give this my best effort with just the Buster, but then I will switch over to the Charged Yamar option, which is very effective at damage racing him. So his first attack is just these regular bullets that I really should not be getting hit by. They're very easy to avoid. In fact, all of his attacks are easy to avoid at first, but then you get to the part where he starts cloning himself. And all of his clones will shoot out bubbles that move very, very fast on extreme mode. If you do not manage how many bubbles and clones are on screen at once, the screen is just going to be flooded with them. And of course, you always have to make sure to actually shoot Magian himself. That attack where he shoots out 8 bullets, that can be reflected with a guard shell. It's one of 2 attacks from Magian that can be reflected. So there we go. Infinity Magian is destroyed. Very easy with the charged Yammer option. Not so easy if you try to do it with Unarmored X, who has no charged special weapons. That honestly sums up X6 really well. It's a game where if you don't use all of your armors, special weapons, and parts to their full potential, then the game difficulty is going to really hurt you. This is a game where they expect you to use all of the armor and upgrades to bypass the really unreasonable challenges they've created, and that's just not my kind of game design, honestly. Anyways, with Magian's weapon, we can actually complete another stage rather easily that would have been a monster without it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll cap off this video with another 3 bosses defeated. This stage that I'm entering has a lot to say about it, which is a good thing because it can be a very time-consuming stage as well, even if you use power-ups and weapons and stuff to bypass the difficulty. So the stage in question is A1 Blaze Heatnix's stage, and I gotta say, this boss, he looks really awesome. Fire Mavericks throughout the series have just been very cool looking, or hot looking, or cool looking, I don't know. But the stage itself, it's got a really great music, by the way. This is a really great song. Just rockin' hard. It's nice and hot for this stage. And now we come to the reason nobody likes this stage. So this enemy, I think it's called a Nightmare Snake. It's supposed to be an Ouroboros or something, but I just refer to it as a red donut. Now, you saw me obliterate it completely with a charged ray arrow, but if you try and fight that thing with Unarmored X or Zero without his weapons, oh boy, that takes a very, very long time. And the patch actually halved its health bar. In the vanilla version, its health bar was twice as long as you just saw. So that's going to take quite a while. You have to strike at each of its weak points individually, and its weak points are the green lights on each of its 4 corners, so those can be difficult to try and hit. This area that I'm in right now is also very much disliked because it's flooded with even more nightmares, like we needed more of those after Ground Scarabitch. And these flames, they pop out of walls and ceilings, they're really difficult to avoid, and they do a ton of damage, so I actually lost a life there. Luckily, I don't have to fight the Nightmare Snake again. Hopefully, anyways. So, the best way to deal with this is to just let the nightmares hit you and then dash past the flames while you've got invincibility. I mean, you're still gonna take damage, but at least you're taking damage from something that won't hurt you as bad, and you can just rush past all of the things that will hurt you very badly. Like that. Oh, jeez. And also the nightmare effect from Commander Yamark's stages here as well, so you've got those annoying little bugs to deal with as well. However, they are destructible with the Yamar option. You can actually deal with the nightmare effects mostly by using the weapons of the boss that generated it. Anyways, now it's time to learn the reason why X6 is considered a poorly designed game. You get to fight the same mini-boss again. And this isn't the only one in the stage either. There are actually a total of 5 Nightmare Snakes. Yes, their idea of designing a stage was to make you fight the same mini-boss over and over again. Of course, when you don't have the time or the money to actually make a decently designed stage, what else are you going to do but recycle the same mini-boss over and over? Here's a variant with a slope. Now, take a look at that lower left weak point. How is someone expected to shoot at it when it's on the hill like that? Just, they didn't think that through very well, did they? They had to put ropes in here just so you could jump over the thing. But it gets even worse, my friends. I mean, I'm flying through these relatively quickly, but look what they expect you to fight here. You've got half a screen to work with, the boss is going up and down vertically, and the room is slowly filling with instant death purple lava. Is it any wonder why I want to cheese this guy? So, if you try and fight him the normal way, the room will be constantly filling with the lava and you'll have to keep going up and up and up. And as you go, you will encounter even more nightmares. Just nice. Oh, and these platforms, you can't actually go through them from below. You have to actually climb around them. And the worst part is, If you manage to kill the Nightmare Snake, but lose a life to one of the nightmares as you are climbing upwards, you get to fight the Nightmare Snake again. Now, luckily in my case, I can just blast him with a ray arrow again, but geez, this is just not a good idea for a stage, if you ask me. I mean, I don't think anybody would say this is a good idea for a stage. I mean, just imagine coming here first without any of the weapons, maybe not even the armor. I mean, the Falcon Armor's Giga attack is kind of okay against this guy, but you have to get lucky and hope that the blasts actually hit the weak points. It's really, really bad. And you know, there's actually a leaked prototype version of X6 where the Nightmare Snakes don't even shoot at you, so they're even more boring enemies to fight. Oh boy, what were you thinking, Capcom? Rushing this out in less than a year. Not a good idea. I mean, that's just Capcom's strategy at play, and I guess it kind of works. I mean, according to the Mega Man Wiki, this game sold decently. I don't really know how accurate that is, though. Anyways, this last Nightmare Snake, it's a really, really easy. What we just came out of was much, much more difficult than this, because this guy presents lots of opportunities to actually hit him with the Ray Arrow. Is it even called the Ray Arrow? It might be called the Ray Splash or the Shining Ray or something. I don't even remember the weapon names at this point. Finally, we are up to the boss, and that is actually a pretty cool looking background. Nice purple magma. I don't know how magma can be purple, but this entire game is filled with weird stuff like that, so there you go. Blaze Heatnix. So, basically what he does is he covers half the screen in instant death lava. Well, actually, the patch actually changed the lava to not be instant death, so that's okay. Heatnix can be a little annoying because he likes to do this attack where he just dives into the lava and comes at you from below. It's really annoying if he decides to start spamming it, and sometimes he will. But mostly you will have to deal with these magma shots, which can be destroyed with just about any weapon you've got. And if he's close to you, then you can go crazy with a saber on him. I'm actually surprised that he decided to call lava from the top of the screen 2 times in a row. Normally, he would go to the bottom of the screen and call lava from the top, and if you think that makes it difficult to dodge his attacks, you'd be completely correct. This attack is also very annoying because you can never tell where the flaming phoenix is actually coming from. But as you can see, he can call lava from the top to come down onto you. And on Extreme Mode, you will also have to deal with dripping lava in addition to the crescent shots that Heatnix will shoot at you in this phase of the fight. But since he waited until the end of the fight to actually try it against me, I get to take the stage easily. And the weapon we get from him is kind of okay. It actually involves the saber. We've also obtained the Ultimate Buster, see my X5 playthrough for why that part is so good. And I think that wraps up this episode of Mega Man X6. Next time we'll take on the remaining 3 stages, and there's more pain to be found, so stay tuned for all of that.